When you eat your proteins and your fats and your carbs, now that you're an active person and you're working out consistently, your body starts to use that food differently.
Today's topic is going to be on which exercises you need to be doing to target your midsection or any part of your body for that matter, right? We all have that unwanted fat, whether it's our arms, our thighs, our stomach, anywhere, right? Our chin. And we're going to discuss the best way to get rid of that unwanted body fat that you just don't want to be hanging on to any longer, and how to make your workouts and the exercises you are doing the most impactful so that you can get rid of the unwanted body fats.
Yep.
But the question is, can that happen? Can you actually target those areas while working out?
Or are you just wasting your time doing all those ab exercises in the gym?
I don't know. Let's get right into it, to the low down, dirty truth.
So the first question is, if I want to lose fat, why can't I just do all those ab exercises at home, at the gym? And the reason is, fat and muscle are two different tissues.
Talk about it.
So with muscle, you actually are able to contract it, relax it, and you can actually isolate it. So just like if you wanted to work your arms, right?
Right.
So if you want to build your arms or build out your biceps, you have to damage that muscle. And that requires specificity, that requires all these little intricate details, right? Now, when we look at fat is a different tissue. These are two different things. Fat, you can't contract, you can't relax it. Now you can stimulate it, but you can't isolate it. You can't isolate it.
I'm following. So let me make sure I'm understanding this correctly. Your muscle can be activated, contracted, and isolated. Activated through working out, contracted through the movement, and you can isolate that muscle group by doing a specific exercise like a bicep curl if you're trying to isolate your bicep, right?
Precisely.
The fat, on the other hand,
yes,
we can stimulate it, which we'll get into how we can stimulate the fat, but unfortunately we can't actually contract fat and we can't isolate it because we can't specifically bring movement to the fat tissue in that area, right? I'm following? Okay.
Yep. So the next kind of question is, how does that happen internally? So if I want to change muscle, if I want to change fat.
Well, hold on. I want to go back a little bit because you did mention that it can be stimulated, right? So how exactly can we stimulate that fat?
We stimulate that fat through a few things. One is eating less food.
So a calorie deficit.
Because then once the body knows it doesn't have things coming in, it has to break things down internally to give you energy. And then the second thing is through exercise. So when you exercise your body, you send these signals that, hey, I need energy to complete this task, to run.
Give me energy.
Jump up and run up the stairs and twerk on the pole.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that you do, your body's like, I want to help you out and do this. So it's going to break down that energy. So that's how you stimulate that fat.
So this goes into, as you were about to go into, internally, how our bodies work with energy in versus energy out, or with those two tissues, right? So muscle development through exercise.
Yep. So the two different tissues. So here's the big, I guess, caveat or whatever. Not really a caveat, but here's the thing here. Look, these are two different things. So a lot of times people think that you can change fat into muscle, but you really can't. And that's why it's so important that we have this discussion today, because there's two different things. So look.
I am so glad you brought that up, because I'm actually really glad that you brought up the fact that you can't actually turn fat into muscle, because that is also a discussion that comes up quite a bit when people think about exercise and losing fat, right? Or losing weight. So I'm glad you went into that. Sorry to cut you off, because I wasn't even thinking about that.
Yeah. So the way both of these tissues work, and when a lot of people want more shape and they want definition, and then they also want to lose fat. So the way muscle is stimulated, like I said, you can isolate it by training it, and you have to exercise to create that change with your muscle. You have to damage it. So when that muscle is damaged, that's what happens during exercise. You're working out, you're working your chest, you're working your arms, whatever, you're working your butt, you're using that muscle and you're getting it so tired that it's breaking down. Those small fibers are breaking down. And what happens is, over time, the next, right when you're done with that workout, the body starts repairing itself. And that's how it's stimulated. Now it repairs itself and it comes back stronger and better because your body wants to be able to do whatever task you give it. It wants to keep you alive. That's his number one job.
Oh,
now
that's a good thing.
that is muscle. Now when we talk about fat is different.
So you can't stimulate fat like you can stimulate muscle in that same regard. So unfortunately, I can't do a bunch of crunches and planks and like hollow body holds to stimulate my fat in my abdominal area. So
and you can't specifically do it, right? Mm-hmm. And tell us, and the big thing is you can't specifically target the area there. Because think about it, when you gain weight,
your fat is going to go wherever it wants to go. You can't eat. You can't eat a donut or a whole bunch of calories and say, all right, body, I really want you to go to my little booty because little booties don't matter right now. No, you can't tell it to go there. It's going to go wherever it wants to go. And the same way that you can't do a whole bunch of crunches and expect that fat is going to release from that region because you can't actively stimulate it through exercise like you can a muscle. So that is the low down truth.
Yeah.
Wah, wah, wah. But not to fear.
Not to fear.
There are other ways.
I am here. I'm energy. I'm muscle.
Okay, thank you. Hey, can I address something real quick?
Please address
You keep farting.
No, that's not me. That's the chair.
I'm just kidding. So I did want to address this noise because this noise keeps coming up. It's not us farting. It is.
So in the other episodes, they probably thought we were.
They probably thought we were farting. It is not us actually farting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so our body does not have the ability to maneuver or burn fat or target it in that area. So we have to look at other means of, getting rid of fat. And let's get into why exercising is still so very important in terms of getting rid of unwanted fat.
Yeah, so exercising, we'll kind of recap a little bit as we get to this exercise part. So we've talked about how muscle and fat are two different things, and they're stimulated and activated differently. And we talked about how fat we can't isolate it. Like you can break it down, you can stimulate it by doing certain things like reducing your food and by exercising. Now, if that's the case, if we can't specify on what muscles and where to lose fat, then what's the point of exercising? Mm-hmm. And the reason you should keep up your exercise, there's a few things. Number one is you're going to be shaping your body as you exercise. Just because you eat less food, and just because you eat less food isn't going to mean that your body is going to change, because you have to stimulate those muscles.
That's true. Your body will change to a certain extent, though, right?
It'll get smaller, possibly.
Yeah, your body is still going to get smaller. And I really, really, really hate to use this term because I don't like it, but I don't know what other way I could possibly describe it. But generally, if you are in a calorie deficit and you are losing weight, you tend to have more loose skin, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not firm or toned, and that's where exercise can play a big role. And going back a little bit, right? Because I don't know if they really understand the processes behind, because we mentioned a calorie deficit.
Yeah.
But the processes behind, like when you are in a calorie deficit, right, and you are eating less food than what your body needs, what ends up happening is our body breaks down those fats, the triglycerides, to energy, and that's when our body uses it for energy. But our body's main energy source is always going to be carbohydrates. That's actually our brain's first. Glucose is our brain's first.
Sugars.
Yeah, sugars. So after that. I'm sorry, let me go back a little bit more. Glucose is our body's main energy source. So whatever food that we eat, it gets stored in our liver or in our muscle. And from there, the glycogen gets broken down into glucose and we use it for energy. When you are in a deficit and that glycogen or glucose isn't readily available in those stored tissues, that's when our body is going to revert to fat, breaking down those triglycerides for energy. Furthermore, we also will get our energy. Worst case scenarios, right? Worst case scenarios, our body will tap into muscle reserves if we are in too much of a deficit. And this is where that conversation comes from, burning at a steady rate of no more than 2 pounds a week. Yes, that's not really sexy. I know people want to lose more weight than that. But if you are looking at anything more than that, that's when your body starts to tap into your muscle reserves, which is what we don't want.
Yeah, we don't want that. Yep. That's going to reduce your metabolism. That's going to release all those hormones that are going to make you hungry and make it hard to lose weight.
That is true. Now, going back to building shape and why exercising is important, you are able to kind of construct your body and target muscle groups, right? So if you want your booty to be firmer, you can do a bunch of squats and, you know, hip thrusters and things of that matter to activate your glute muscles. Or if you want your arms to be toned or your shoulders to be nice and firm, or whatever the case is, your quads to be quadlicious, you can do exercises to target those muscles.
Yep. And that's the cool thing about exercise, because you can get specific. The big thing, one thing we really like is we try to add some specific moves and exercises, and we want the body in general to be strong, to release hormones, to build muscle and lose fat. So that's why it's so important to not just go in the gym and just do only the areas that you want to work on.
That's true. That's true.
Because you want to build that.
Thank you for.
You gotta have a comprehensive approach and really hit a little bit of everything. You need to be efficient, because let's be honest, we don't have all, just enormous amounts of time to just work out. We want to get in, do what we have to do, have fun, enjoy the process, but then we want to get on with our life, because this stuff is supposed to add to your life, not necessarily take from it. So building muscle, that's one reason you need to be exercising more. Now another thing, go for it.
No, you go ahead.
Another thing is burning calories.
Correct.
We don't talk about it a whole bunch, but when you work out, you do burn calories. We don't like to get really focused on like making our workouts be just an opportunity to burn calories.
Yeah, we don't want to make it
yourself.
Exactly. We don't want to make it specific to, all right, now you just ate that taco, now we got to burn that taco off.
Yeah.
No, we don't look at it in that way. But the science is that when you do work out, so going back to the calorie deficit from eating food, right? So if your total daily energy expenditure to just maintain your weight is 2,000 calories, if you go into a 15 to 25% deficit from there, and then you're now in a calorie deficit, on top of that, if you topple it with your workout, and let's say these are just random numbers, because so I'm not saying to go out there and track, the number of calories you burn in your workout, but you can burn another 200 to 600 calories in your workout.
By exercising.
Yeah, just by exercising. So you have now increase that calorie deficit you are in.
So you've increased the opportunities and the chances that you will actually lose weight. And the reason we don't like to like target calories burned through exercise is because it's so hard to track. All these different applications they're usually way off, and it's getting better over time, but you're going to be wasting your time trying to target a specific calorie number when you're burning calories. Okay.
Yep.
Hope we got that under control.
That was it. No, that's good.
Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah. There's another important reason for exercise, and that's nutrient partitioning. And what happens?
Is that something made up by Beyonce?
No.
You know that one song by her?
Something like this?
No, that is not it.
Oh, that's the single ladies. Oh, the single ladies.
Oh, the single ladies. Okay.
I've been hanging around you way too much.
By Beyonce with Partition.
So
okay,
look,
ladies, now let's get
nutrient partitioning. What happens is when you work out and you exercise, you start to become, you teach your body to become more efficient. So your body starts to use the food that comes in to replenish and rebuild muscle, and then it starts to break down fat because it realizes that it needs more energy. This is an active person I'm the body talking right now. This is an active person that I am living inside of, so I need to make sure that I am ready, I am strong.
I do not like the accent for the body.
That's your body. That's how.
No, mine don't sound busted up like that. That's how your busted body sounds.
Look, your body wants to.
No, go back to your accent.
Your body wants to. I want to make sure I can take care of you, so I'm going to be strong, and I'm going to start to use the food that you bring in.
Keep going. We'll work on your accents.
Okay, but anyway, so what happens is when you eat your proteins and your fats and your carbs, now that you're an active person and you're working out consistently, your body starts to use that food differently. And that's really the big takeaway. And that's what nutrient partition is. So instead of storing fat, your body starts to burn fat. Instead of breaking down muscle, your body is repairing muscle. And that's amazing because that's going to help you keep that weight off when you do lose the weight.
That's good.
Yeah.
And you should exercise because it's going to increase your metabolism.
Yeah. And that's essentially everything that we
Everything
just talked about.
yeah, he just said.
You're going to be burning calories. You're going to be in that calorie deficit. It's going to increase that calorie deficit. And that is what we want.
But even in the workout, right? Like, what are the processes that happen while you are in the workout?
What do you mean?
Like when you're in the workout, because we mentioned that you're burning calories while you're in the workout. So when we're going through the workout, we discussed carbs being the main energy source, right? Mm-hmm. So while we are working out, our body is using the glucose to fuel our workout. At some point, depending on how long our workout is or what our meal looked like before, and when I'm mentioning glucose, I'm talking about, the food that we ate the meal before is now being broken down and stored into glycogen, and then our body uses it in the workout for energy. Once that energy is broken down and we kind of deplete those sources, our body is then going to revert to our fat stores for energy. So this is why it's still important to make sure that you're exercising, because while you are in your workout, we still need energy to fuel ourselves through it. So this is a good opportunity to say, hello, fat, knock, knock, knock. And guess what? I've run out of glucose. So I'm going to need your assist so that way I can get through this. I was trying to make it rhyme. I'm going to need your assist so that way I can get
through this.
Yes. And then, yes, that's what our body ends up breaking down the triglycerides from our fat to use that now for energy. So it is still beneficial to work out, so that way overall it can increase the deficit that we're in, and we can make sure that we are toning and getting this healthy body hotter than ever.
So there aren't specific exercises that's going to help you target a specific region, but you should be exercising and you should be eating healthy, so that shouldn't deter you from getting your groove on.
Get your groove on. Get your groove on.